Hey guys, it's Tiny Logan back with another video for you. Now, if you follow me on Instagram or on Facebook, you will be very aware that there has been a lot of changes in the TTL office over the last kind of couple of weeks to a month. Over the Christmas period, my trusted rig Orca did start showing some signs of age, where we were getting some instability there, and she chucked up a couple of smart errors. Now I've got two Force GT 480GB Corsair solid state drives in RAID 0, so it made it very quick on a desktop, and a great kind of scratch drive for my videos. So the smart errors were a worry for me. So essentially what I did is I was planning a big Orca 2 system. I say planning, it is being built in a 570X. But with the smart errors, I knew I was never going to get that finished in time, or at least comfortably, when I knew that we were going to be having problems with the system. It was mainly, I can sometimes, when I'm doing a lot of videos at once, as I was with Cable Lake, I can sometimes be, one video can be rendering and I'm editing another one. And I like to kind of keep on top of and do quite a lot of things at once when I'm actually sat at my desk. So she wasn't up for that anymore, so I needed to hurry a system in rather quickly. I also had three PG279 Asus ROG Swifts. That's the 165 Hertz IPS screens, or was it 144 Hertz IPS screens? I think the 165 Hertz IPS screens, G-Sync, that was sat around literally waiting to go on my desk. But Orca, because of the fact that she was running on 7970s, I didn't have any clean ways to be able to get them on and running the right resolution, because I would have needed adapters and stuff, and I did go through a few adapters trying to get them to work, and it was just, I needed a new rig. So I built one in a rush, which is what is on my desk at the moment, and I've got the screens on, and as you can see I've got four, so I've got monitors, big monitor stand and everything. But I thought this would be a good chance for me to show you not only the new setup, but kind of all of the other stuff as well, because some of you might not know that I do have what I think is a fairly nice home server. Some of you out there hate the fact that I say server, and so it could just be a posh NAS. But anyway, I'm going to show you today, and I would love to hear your feedback about it as well. Now you can comment underneath if you like. You can go and have a look at the photos on Instagram if you like, but I would very much like it if you would like to join us on the OC3D forums and come and have a good old discussion there, because all of the forum members did play a part with, you know, part choosing. We had discussions about all of this stuff, so you could have been a part of that. Now I'm going to go through this, show you the server, show you my racing rig, and I'm also going to show you where we do the filming. So it's going to be a full office tour. So if you haven't already, hit the pause button, go make yourself a cup of tea, grab yourself a drink and some crisps or some food, or maybe you're sat there eating it with your dinner in the front room, as I know many of you have started doing now. So hello to the wives that are fed up of my voice, but settle in and we will go for a spin. So first things first, and it does have to be first things first, because it's the first thing I do every day when I come in, other than turning my rig on, is sit down on my epic chairs. Now GT Omega did come through with an absolute blinder where they customized a couple of their chairs for me with the OC3D logo. Now I said to them, could I have a red or a grey one? And they thought it would be a great idea for me to have a red and a grey one. So many thanks to them for that. They are epic. Now you might be wondering why they're not leather. I did have the choice of leather, but I'm a cloth boy. So that is the reason why I've got that, but I've got these lovely embossed logos on them. To be fair, I absolutely love my logo, but it is for them an absolute pain to do. And I do know how hard it was for them to get this and stitch them in and everything. It really isn't a simple process because of how bold it all is. They're actually the stitched on leather parts, rather than being fully embroidered, because of how difficult it is to get the joins and it not to pull through the fabric. So thank you very much to GT Omega for doing that. It's probably the first time I've actually said it in a video as well, and I've had these for an age. I have a lot of people ask about the desk itself, and it's actually just IKEA. The only thing I have done is, because I sit at my desk and I spin around the desk area a lot, what I have done is I've moved the feet to halfway back in away from the desk, and then just here on each side there is a metal plate. And it does mean that I've still got plenty of stability. It's absolutely rock solid, but it does mean that I don't bang my hands on the edge of the desk. So that's, you can pick up the plates from places like B&Q. So it's a really easy thing, and I've done that pretty much all the way around the room. I've got 2 more that I need to do, but I did concentrate on the actual desk area at first. So IKEA, really cheap. There's little drawers up on the sides and stuff if you want them. So yeah, there's lots of options there. I think it's called Linmon. But on the actual desk itself, people are going to want to know about the monitors. They're PG279s. Yes, they are 27-inch IPS screens. I was using old Benk TN panels before, and to be honest with you, the difference is night and day. The Benk ones, though, I think they were released about 5 years ago. So it's just the fact that, you know, technology has moved forward. I absolutely love them. Going from 1080 up to 1440 as well has been lovely just for the real estate. But the colours and the stuff, I've actually noticed that my eyes are much better. I used to get headaches quite often, and I haven't been recently. Now, the stand itself, people are going to be like, oh my God, you know, how have you got 427s on there? It's actually a WCGF, I think it is, or is it WYS, Widescreen Gaming Forums, I think it's called. But anyway, the stand is from them, and it's their, I think it's Ultimate or their Pro or something. I did have to get it from the States and have it shipped over, so if you do end up buying one, do keep in mind that when it arrives that you're going to end up having to pay the import taxes and stuff. But the fact that I can get all of this on my screen, and it's all kind of infinitely adjustable and stuff. You would have seen the stand when I did the 3 PG279s with 2 1080s. Audio wise, I'm actually using, amazingly, a Creative setup. It's an external DAC, and it's got a little amp built in, and then it's got their X7, they're the EEMU bookshelf speakers on the sides. And this is perfect. The sound quality is, I think, it's very good. Especially, you know, for the fact that it does just link up with your PC really nicely, but also it's kind of clean. It's not, I don't have like a big amp kind of anywhere, you know, hidden around, and it does mean that I can just lean forward and turn it up and down. The keyboard is actually, this came from overclockers, and these desk mats come from overclockers as well. I say desk mats, but they're mouse mats, and I'm just gone to grab them. They are their Elite Tactical gaming surfaces, and I've actually got 3 in the room at the moment, but I could probably do with some more because I use them to protect the surfaces. So I've got 2 of those like that, and it does just mean when I sit there, my hands are always on and I've got places to put stuff, but it protects the work surface as well. Keyboard at the moment is a Cougar 200K because I do like scissor. I'm not into the whole mechanical thing. I like nice short strokes, and I like them quiet as well. Low kind of profile keys. So it's not an expensive keyboard, but it's just something, it seemed to suit what I wanted. You can change the colours on it as well. You can kind of blitz through them. It's not expensive. Like I said, I got that from overclockers as well. This is just a stand-up charger for my S7 Edge, which I got from Europe because I wanted a white one, and they don't sell white in the UK. Underneath, just over here, this thing is a UPS, and it's a 1500A UPS. It's a cyber power one. Quite crazily though, everything on my desk is being run through the UPS, and the big tower that you can see is plugged into the UPS. So if I have a power out, then I get about 15 minutes where I can be using my PC and not worry at all. I've actually got everything major in the office on UPSs as well. You're also going to be wondering about the lights. Now, they're no particular brand. I got them from Amazon, but rather than they're 10, is it 10 meters? Yeah, it's 10 meters long, but rather than 300 LEDs, which is what they normally are, this is actually 600, which is why they are quite bright. So I can turn the lights off that we're using at the moment, and it does look the go now. And obviously you've got the R, G, B, but then I use the white more often than not, and I do have a custom white profile with slightly less green in it that I use for most of the time. So the actual rig itself that I'm using, I'm calling this Orca 2, but it is kind of like an interim system. case. It's a white 400C. People may have asked why I didn't go for the 460X, but I actually, because I was so used to the white with my last system, which was a Cooling Master Striker, I did kind of want to stick with white again so I can adjust. So there's quite a lot of white on this. You obviously get white on the door as well, and there's white all on the back panel. So it suited what I wanted. I also wanted to try something a bit smaller. So with this, that was the thought process behind it. Now, with the kit that's in there, first thing that you may draw your attention to is the AIO. It's actually based on a Kraken X61 pump, but it was custom made for me by Acetec. Now that's the OEM for most of the AIOs that are made in the world, and I've known the guy since he's been at his previous job, so before he was even at Acetec. And we were talking one night and it came up about how the OC 3D logo would have suited the centre of the pump quite well, and I said, well, it would have to be white, not black, and it all became kind of a challenge for them with their team to try and make something that suited, and it did take a lot of time. I think there's 4 or 5 coats of white paint on the outside of that, and then they had to laser etch the logo in. It was a big old job. But then not only did they do that, they also made me a white radiator. This is a 360mm radiator. Now you can get some 360mm AIOs. They're all made by Acetec as far as I know, unless you go with the ones that can be expanded and stuff. But anyway, but I don't know of any of the big companies that make them. So Corsair don't do it, NZXT don't do it. There are a few other people that use, big brands that use them. None of them do 360s. None of them do white either. But not only did they do that, but this red braid on the hose, the versions of them that I got, because I've got a 360, 2 240s and a 120. The 240s, they made me a normal 30mm thick and then a 40mm thick one as well. But it was the first time that we ever saw red braided hose go on any of their ones. They are using them for some of the other brands now, but this was literally the first time that it had been used, and do you know what I mean? Thank you so much. Other big thing in the rig itself is the white RMI power supply by Corsair. It's number 35 of 100. It's one of the limited edition ones. You can't get them for love nor money now, and I do feel incredibly lucky to have got one. So a big thank you to Corsair for that. Love it. Getting down to the nitty gritty of the rest of the rig. It's an X99 Deluxe 2. From Asus. Processor is a 6950X. It's overclocked to 4.4 gigahertz. Then we've got 64 gigabyte of LPX RAM, 2 sets of 32 gigabyte in there, 1 set of white, 1 set of red, goes with all the colour. You're probably wondering about the graphics card though. The graphics card actually came from my racing rig. It's a Strix 1080. I painted it white and red. So the main bulk of it is white backplate. It's actually a backplate from a 1060 because I didn't want the cutout on it. And then the little red bits from the front, they actually come off, and I just picked those out in the red colour to give it a little bit more balance. This little card that you can see in here is actually the 10 gigabyte Ethernet add-in card from a Maximus Extreme assembly, because my office is Cat 7 and I am set up for 10 GBE. You do need a switch, and I do have 10 GBE in my server as well. So between my main rig and my server, I have got 10 gigabit Ethernet rather than single gigabit Ethernet, and it does mean that my transfers have gone from say 115 megabyte a second, but I've seen 950 megabyte a second. All does depend on the drives that you're transferring from and to, and also the file types that you're transferring as well. But as a headroom so far, that's what I've got. I think with a few more tweaks and maybe some drive changes in the server, I could get even more. The only other things really going on in the rig are the fans, and I'm using the Corsair ML fans. I've got 320s in the front, obviously because the 360mm rad. There's 120mm in the back. The rear one and the front ones are actually wired up to the CPU and the CPU2 header. And then I've got 240mm in the roof. They're wired up to one of the other sys fans. headers. So yes, I am using them on the board for a change. Now there are still a little few things that I'm not entirely happy with about the software, but thankfully it is something that I'm working through with Asus to try and make it slightly better. It's something that we are bouncing backwards and forwards at the moment. But with the fans, essentially the front set of fans here, they at the desktop kind of stage, they run at 500 RPM, and the roof ones kick in at 450 RPM. And then when I'm rendering and things kind of warm up a little bit, they can go anything up to 800 RPM. So it does end up being very quiet. The only other thing that I have done is I've utilised the Asus Orca software. Try and get my, here we go. I've utilised the Asus Orca software, and I do have RGBs in the front of the case wired up. They are cable mod cables, and they're on an extension, but it does mean if I do want to change the lights, the ones in the front are actually connected with all the LEDs on the board as well. I wish I could link it up to the ones in the room, but that idea has been pitched out, but we'll see if anyone ever actually does sort out a hub where you've got enough power that you can drive long lengths. So that's where I do my work, that's where all the videos are edited, where I'm talking to everyone, all the emails, research, all that sort of stuff goes on there. When we move around the office though, what we can do is we get around. Now, you can see underneath the desk there, kicking. Underneath this there, that is the GPU test rig. That would normally be up here, but I've had a bit of a tidy up, and I also wanted to show you the lights all the way around the room. Also, when we pull the chair out, my server and all the UPS and everything is under the desk. Now I can turn the lights off in the background, but you're getting the flicker in. I'm not sure whether that's going to go into the video or not, but it's just the refresh rate. So just to make sure it doesn't annoy people, we'll turn them off for now. Now this is my customised Fractal R5. It might not be to everyone's taste, but it's basically what I did is with a Fractal R5 you can only get 8 hard drives in. So what I did is I actually took 2 R5s, and I took the mounts for the fans from the front, which again you can only get 2 120mm fans in the front, and I spliced them into one so that you can now get 3 in the front to cool all the hard drives. It's actually 2 of the 5 bay racks, one from each case, which I mounted in there. I wanted it to look semi-fractal. But also when we look from the front, which I will show you now, if I splay a bit of light on it, you can see that I've basically spliced in another dust filter in the front, again using stock Fractal dust filter parts, and it is actually properly, all of the plastic from around the top here came off from the second case and is actually now mounted in the top. So they've got exactly the same way of mounting. Again, I wanted it to look as stock as possible, and again it's my rig, do you know what I mean? I just wanted to spend a little bit of time on it. I did put the roof plate onto the case just to stop any possible way of like dust getting in. But the other thing I did is I ended up making a full plexi window, and it's just held on with magnetic tape. I will be doing a video about this. Trying to do it with one hand isn't the easiest thing in the world, but as you can see, nice and clean. I can see my hard drives, and it's really easy to remove. So with that out the way, hard drives, there are 10 6TB Western Digital Reds in there. The RAID card, as you can see there, is actually a little tiny RAID card, but what I've done is I've got a massive passive graphics card cooler on it. Now you can see the copper plate at the top. That's a 3mm copper plate. That is actually exactly the same footprint as the original cooler that was on there, which was Ali, but I had it remade in copper, and then I thermal epoxied the passive cooler to that. There is a little support underneath, which you can see, which just helps hold it on, because there's only 2 screw mounts sort of like diagonally on the RAID card, and it wasn't really enough to support it. So with the little support there, it just helps hold it central. But essentially the RAID card would have happily sat at 70 to 80 degrees, and that was what they were kind of designed for. But the other thing that they were designed for was being in a server room with the climate controlled temperature room, and lots of airflow and stuff, which was not the way I was going to build my system. So this just meant I could keep my temperatures right down. Now, I've never seen it go above 45 degrees. Adaptec have seen this and they actually think it's awesome. So it's not like people are going to turn their nose up at it. The actual manufacturer of the ray card think it's an amazing idea and perfect for the, you know, my needs and what I wanted to get from my rig, with it being, you know, quiet and cool and all that sort of thing. Right, I'm just moving the light. There we go. Right, so the motherboard that's in there, it's actually the Z170 Deluxe. This rig was built before my main rig, but I did like the white and it did work kind of well. This might be getting a quick update as well because I've got some bits that I want to put in there, but the cooler that's in it at the moment is the Noctua L cooler, 120mm fan. I can't remember, I think it's the L12 they call it. There's an i3 in there. It's the Skylake i3, so I think it's the 6130T that's in there, and there's 16GB of Crucial RAM that's in there, which is just the white sticks down the side. Superflower LeadX Platinum, 650 watt power supply. Massive overkill because the most I've ever seen this rig pull, because there's no graphics card in there, and even when I'm transcoding or rendering, the most I've ever seen it pull is 125 watts. It sits at 80 watts on the desktop. It's crackers. So I could use a much smaller power supply, but the reason why I went for this was A, it's white, B, these light up white down here. I've used the Superflower stuff in the past, and the cables, they were custom made for me by Pexon. If you're interested in getting custom cables made and stuff like that, give Pexon a shout. You can easily find him on Facebook or just hit Google and stuff. He's well known in the industry for custom cables. But I said to him about doing these cables for me, and they were literally here within a week. There is a couple of cables, because we do, for the SATA, one cable does 5 drives and the other cable does the other 5 drives. Now that's all round the back. And I don't really want to rip the rig out, just to show you around the back of it. But obviously with 10 drives in there, my cables for the NAS were quite a problem. This is basically the best I could really do, because I cannot reduce those. I can't get them custom made shorter or anything like that, so that, you know, I've tried to make the best of a bad situation in there. The other thing that I've done with the case is I did make some blanking areas up, which if I zoom you in, you can see by the side of the graphics card, it literally is just a bit of acrylic, but it was to clean the lines up and stop any kind of foreign air being able to be introduced in. So we've blanked off as much as possible. That is also kind of an idea with the roof. It's not perfect. I am probably going to end up making another one and getting it to fit slightly better. Ooh. Getting it to fit slightly better, but you know, it's done its job for now. So when we move on to the networking side of things, that is an Asus AC88U. I do also have an AC5300 as well, which is running in an access point mode, but I'll show you that in a bit. This AC88U, it's got 8 gigabit ports on the back with a switch built in, so it's more kind of an officey kind of multiple system environment, but I do have the switch underneath as well. Now the switch I actually bought from the States. I have to read the number. It's the XGU2008, and essentially it is an 8 gigabit switch. Sorry, an 8 port gigabit switch, but it does have 2 extra ports on the end, so a 9th and a 10th port, and they are 10 gigabit. So one of those ports goes off to my main rig, and one of them goes off to the server, because what I didn't mention was in the server there is a 10 gigabit Ethernet card which is hidden by the SATA cables. Trust me, it is in there. You can actually see the actual card bit in there. Do you know what I mean? It's a little silver one. It is there. Anyway, so the server is 10 gigabit, my rig is 10 gigabit. This basically just means that they can talk to each other. Now I could run a dedicated cable just between the two, but by introducing it into the switch, it does mean that there's a lot more throughput for there to be you know, more headroom for other sources, because I do use Plex, and we do use, my girlfriend doesn't live with me, she's got her own place. She's hooked into it. I use it for my mobile. My sister uses it when she's out and she's at friends, and more than likely when she's at college and stuff. So we do get a lot of our Plex activity. Also, we've got a cloud service for the reviewers that work for me that's on the server as well. So there's lots of things that go kind of in and out. And essentially it just means there's an incredible amount of throughput when you consider I've got 10G going in, and then with anyone that's not connected to my main rig, there's only like gigabits available. So there's loads of that. Then the little box to the right hand side, that should do my wireless and stuff, and there's switches and stuff built on to that. So there's 4 other ports on the back of it, but I've just got it in bridging mode, and I literally just use it as a modem. And then I use the Asus one as my internal router, which does all the DHCP and all that sort of stuff. The NAS that you can see down there is the CUS NAS. It's not mine, it's just a review drive that I'm working on at the moment. It's off at the moment to keep it quiet. But everything that you can see here, so everything is on a UPS. The server is actually on this big UPS here. We can flick through to see what the it's pulling at the moment. So it's pulling 80 watts at the moment, that 0.081 kilowatts, it's pulling 80 watts at the moment. Then all of my networking stuff, so the router, the switch, the modem, is actually running off of this small UPS, which is what's connected to the plugs all there. So essentially, if I get a power outage, my server stays up, all of my networking stays up, and my main rig stays up as well. Now, we did have a power cut about 2-3 weeks ago because they were doing some work outside, and it was pretty much everyone in the area went down, but the internet stayed up. So it did mean that it didn't make any difference to my working day, which I thought was amazing. We've not had any emergency power cuts or anything like that, like storm power cuts. But I'm actually looking forward to seeing whether the internet stays up to see whether this was worth doing. Now, pounding around the room, just looking underneath the desks. That's a Brother network printer. It just means that everyone can see it. It's an old one, but it does my needs. I do keep several rigs built at all times though, just to kind of minimise things. So I've got like a GPU test rig, I've got a motherboard test rig, which is the 540, that's over here. It's currently empty, waiting for a launch. Then I've got a rig that I test solid state drives in, and it just basically means I can do more than one thing at once. So I've been doing that for quite a while, and then we have what I call goods in. Now there are a lot of gigabyte motherboards there at the moment. I'm basically waiting for them to make some BIOS changes, because when I did review the boards, I've had them here for a while, and I picked up some problems with the BIOS. So I've been talking backwards and forwards with Gigabyte to get the BIOS problem sorted. You may have heard about high temperatures and high vCore issues. Well, that's something that I picked up with Gigabyte, and I've been pummeling them about, and we're just waiting for them to fix those before we're going to go live with the reviews. But if it gets too much longer, then we're probably not going to bother being able to do them all, because I won't have time, and we'll be moving on to new launches. So they are here. I am trying to do them. This is just something that you don't see all the time, but it doesn't make air time a lot of the time, so it's quite unusual for you guys to get to see this. It's the PB287Q. That's the Corsair Strafe Silent keyboard. It's just, the one that I use there. This is where the other overclocker's mouse mat is, although I do have one here at the side of my desk as well. Again, I use them to protect the desk surfaces, and it means I can just thump stuff down on them. When we pan around, it's just desk surface. That's the light I've been using just for filming. That's not normally in here. That at the end is a DeLong High air filter that I use because I'm asthmatic. The other thing that I've got in the office to help with my asthma, if we pan around here, is I do have air conditioning. That does help me heat as well, because it's got a heat pump. Most importantly though, it helps keep things cool and clean in the summer. It does also mean when I'm testing in the summer that I can flick that baby on and bring the temperature right down to 18 degrees if I wanted, but I normally set it to sort of like about 19 degrees, and then it flicks between 19 and 20 depending on when it's decided it wants to run. It's actually got a really cool front. It's motorised. It lifts out and goes up and nearly touches the ceiling. It's much prettier than the last one that I had. Moving back round, this would be where the motherboard tests would normally be done. I've only got a 1080 screen because we only test the games that we do on 1080, because that normally picks the difference between the CPUs better. This is the 980 that we've been using for the motherboard test reviews. Look, you can see it's even still got the plastic on, and I've had this literally since launch, but that is part of my test equipment. Then you can see that I've got other things here like thermal probes. This is my magic little screwdriver that I use for doing the M.2 screws. And then we've got a selection of memory here. And the reason why I've got it all in here is it's easy to just grab at, because we use 3200, for the Z270 anyway, we use 3200 megahertz for the stock tests. This is a 4000 megahertz kit. This is a 4266 megahertz kit. Got two G-Skill kits. These are all Corsair LPX. This is Corsair Dominator ROG that I've got here. It's 3600 megahertz, but amazingly does do 3866. Then also here I've got two G-Skill kits. One of the G-Skill kits is 3866, one of the G-Skill kits is 4000. I do have some Kingston to hand as well, crucial. I've got a lot of stuff that I can flick between. Then I've also got solid state drives. So one of the solid state drives is for when I do solid state tests. I've got another one which is a clean version of Windows, which is the drive that I use to put fan software and stuff on for the motherboards and light software, so we keep that clean and off the bench drives. Then here, this is the drive that I'm using for my bench systems at the moment for Z270, which is a 960 Evo. But I do have in here an MP500 from Corsair as well. And they're all in here so they're easy for me to grab and use. This, we've got a clean Windows disk. That's what that is. That's basically my drive for that. People always ask me about thermal paste. I do use MX4. And that's because I can buy it in larger tubes. As you can see, I've gone through quite a lot of it. So that's it. Behind the scenes. I'm not sure, I think this is the, let's have a look what keyboard this is. It's the K40. It's the membrane keyboard. This is the one that I use when I'm working the most at the moment. It'll probably end up going on to the graphics card test rig if we ever get back to graphics cards. And then I have a M65. The covering on the desk on this one, it's much bigger, is actually just some neoprene. I bought on a roll off of eBay. It's basically what they make wetsuits out of. It does make a lovely desk size mouse mat, so if you wanted to do that for yourself you can do. But the other thing really is it again helps keep the desk clean, and all I do is I hoover it off in once a week, once every other week, and I can wash it as well if it ever gets dirty. It literally just goes out on the line. So simple. So we're going to go handheld now. So it's, well, not handheld, it's still on the tripod, but it does mean that we can move around. So we've done the office. We'll give you one last spin around so that you can see. And then I do need to put the rig door back on. So people do ask about this. It's wallpaper, it's not bricks. There's the Magic Eye kind of wallpaper. Looks like a red and grey barcode. I'll switch my lights on. We do have some little spotlights up there. That leads up to the Loft of Dreams. There are actually steps up there, which I will try and show you. So there we go, it's all carpeted. There is lights up there as well, it's all boarded out properly. But we won't go up there today because I've not tidied up there. This is the shower shed. Much known because there's a shower. Because a lot of people did assume that I lived here, but this is a totally separate place. It is just work. So in here, this is the shower shed, much known because there is a shower just up there. But essentially what we did is there is a bath underneath all of that, amazingly. We covered it over, we've put MDF all around the walls, and there's a big extractor fan up there. That light is actually a daylight bulb, so it does help with SAD. But just over here we've got hand basin and then the toilet, because it is the bathroom, that's why it's the shower shed. So we've got Orca in there at the moment. This is my old system. If you're wondering why we call her Orca, it's because it was actually a memorial to my late mum. And I'm trying to do this by hand. There you can see her date of birth and the date that she passed. So she's in there at the moment. She's in a sorry state. What I did do for the last month, maybe 6 weeks of when she was running, I drained all of the coolant out and I put just deionized in there to help flush all the old coolant that had been in there for a few years. So she's now here now to be stripped, and it's not going to be taken apart. I've got some new hose here, so I'm going to strip it all, I'm going to flush it all out, I'm going to put new hose in there, give her a good clean, and then she's going on a pedestal, which I'll show you in a bit, because I'm not taking it apart. Please don't ask for her, it means too much to me. This rig is staying together, and then because I used to say hello to her every morning. If you're interested in about this build, because please don't look at the coolant, because like I said, it is just deionized and it's flushing all the old stuff out. I was hoping it was going to help me speed the cleaning up. As you can see, the pump is out, or it's been out because of when we drained it the last time. But it is a CM Storm Striker, massive 80mm thick 360 in the front. There's another 360 rad in the roof, and that was my rig for 4 years. And then when we come around here, it's just my little bits and bobs. So I keep my zip ties in a little pen pot that you would normally keep your pens in on your desk. And I've got 2 different sizes, and then I've got like magnifying glasses, all my different tapes. So we've got, you know, double-sided tape, we've got masking tape, got my drills and stuff that's in there. I keep a lot of my wiring in here as well, so that I've got cables when I build the review rigs, or I'm building a, you know, like a system up. I've got stuff to hand a lot of the time. And then in the actual drawers of my white toolbox, I keep all my screwdrivers in there. You can see files, hacksaw, centre punch, that helps when you're drilling. So, and then rivet gun, there's a couple of rivet guns in there actually. This one is my riv nut gun. Cable for bearing off ends. Gonna need this again soon. This is my hose cutter. And then round the outside, simple stuff. Hand wash after I've been to the loo. Toothbrush, I clean my teeth before I make videos, because the yanks are always going on at me about my teeth, even though they're all mine. They might not be straight, but they're not, you know, people seem to assume there's bits missing and stuff. It's just that they're not straight. I really apologise for it. Then over here we've got white vinegar. We've also got some acetone in the corner and isopropyl alcohol for cleaning. And then there's these little drawers. Basically I've got some more stuff to put away here at the moment. But these little drawers, I just keep all my spare screws and stuff in for when I'm building stuff up. So it's all just to make my life, you know, that little bit easier really. Then when we move out of the room, we go into the office. Now this down here is kind of my dumping stroke goods in area. But you know, there's nothing particularly exciting here at the moment. Over in the corner, these are my model cars. And essentially, some of them are the standard ones and some of them aren't. So on this shelf, the Escort Series 2 RS Turbo shelf, the white one is the standard one. These ones here are actually customised. Make things confusing. The white and the red one on this end are the standard ones, and then the blue, the red one on the end used to be white, but the blue and the black one used to be white as well. They've been painted with proper car paint, and then they've been customised. Yeah, anyway, so something that people do get so funny about is my collection of NVIDIA graphics cards, because I do get sent NVIDIA samples. Now we're not allowed to do anything with them, so it's a bit like Intel processors, we have to keep them, so they're there like that. I get people saying to me, "Oh, just give them to me, it's such a waste." It is such a waste, but it does get to the point where we need to go back and retest. So some launchers will go back and we'll whiz through them if we've got time. So it's not something I can give away. The fact that I've still got them is actually a bigger point than if I should give them away, because it does mean that you can see I'm quite honest. You can see they've got them all going right back. Same with my Intel processors. I've got like 6-7 years worth of Intel samples. People do ask about the AMD ones. I do have the 460. AMD aren't so, they don't give out many, or they've not made many reference cards. Certainly no kind of recent ones. I do have a 290X in the loft, I think, but there's just not been many, and there's such a big gap between them as well. Whereas with the NVIDIA ones, they actually look nice like that because there has been so many. I am missing a Pascal X because I didn't get one of those. I sad face. Anyway, when we move around, it's just the stuff on the shelves. Now, people do ask about the planes, so we'll go along with the planes. That's a Red Arrow's Hawk, then that's a Tornado jump jet, then that is a Eurofighter Vulcan X558. Do not talk to me about what the Vulcan to the Sky Trust are doing with this plane at the moment. I really do not agree with it anymore. I'm an immense fan of the plane and what she did and what she stands for, but I do not like the way she's being treated now. She's just a cash cow and I hate it. So then we've got a Hurricane, a Chinook, a Spitfire and a Lancaster. This section here is going to be for my American planes, so I need to get an S-71 Blackbird. There's a couple of other American planes that I want to get, so like the F-35 and the F-22. So there's a few of them that I want to put up there. It's just a case of time and money and finding decent ones as well. The TTL in the corner, the letters, that was a present from a tiny sister Logan. And then this is my floating DeLorean. It does go on this plinth and it's a maglev thing and she'll spin and float and lights up. It does look amazing. Then we've got Kit from Knight Rider, the proper one, the original one. The actual T-bar roof has fallen off, so I need to slide that back in. Ecto 1, 18 van. We've got another DeLorean there. Back to the Future 2, although I've lost the top of the Mr. Fusion. It fell off the shelf one day. Obviously Eleanor. Airwolf, my 100,000 subscriber badge from YouTube, and then the other stuff just kind of sits in the background. I do get a lot of people asking about the white 406, and it's the white 406 from the film Taxi. You know, the guy where basically it looks like a normal taxi and then he presses a button and all the wheels kind of pop out and change and all that sort of stuff. Well, I loved that film when I was growing up, so that's there. Other little things that I've got is this Cooler Master case, although basically the side does come off. We were jokingly saying that this was the Strix graphics card that was in it because we'd kind of wedged it in the side, but this is actually a thumb drive. I'm not even kidding you, look, it's a USB drive. So yeah, so that was just a little something that Cooler Master gave me years and years and years ago, that I've still got, because one of the things you guys do need to remember is I'm an enthusiast just like you. I don't do this for the money, which is why I don't ask you to for like, yeah, anyway. So, and then my Strix box collection, which a lot of people always kind of moan about, but we've got some stuff over there. Corsair stuff. This keyboard can be plugged in and it lights up, which is kind of cool. This is Wilson. If you've seen Castaway, you'll understand what I mean about Wilson. And then this was a present that my sister did for me one year. The picture keeps slipping. But this was when she was at school, and this was one of the times we were at a show and someone, I think it was Gareth from Aces, got a picture of us. Anyway, so, sorry Wilson. So that is the room. Then when we kind of pan down over there, essentially that is my villain's chair. And it's just somewhere I sit and I chill, or if I've got loads of stuff that I need to read, you know, someone sends me a PDF and there's loads, I quite often just sit there with my laptop and watch it. If I come back, that is the filming section, and when I'm filming and you see me looking at the camera, essentially that is my view. And we would normally have another light there, but it's in the office that we were using to film before, so it's nothing particularly special. I do need to get up here my motherboard mount for my Rampages, because I've had a frame made so I can put some motherboards on the wall. And then the only other thing for us to look at is out in the kitchen, and it is literally just a kitchen. We've got stuff out here. That's going to be the motherboard mount. You can see that we've got the 5 motherboard spaces there. And then my power supply tester is stored in the corner because she doesn't have much of a use. It's not something that I use all the time. So basically when we have new power supplies being launched, I pull her out and I put her on the desk and I do the tests. But other than when she's not, then she lives there because it's just, and then that's it. There's a kettle. This is my little Munchies pot. So we've got like little things in there, energy balls. Do you know what I mean? Although that's all the kind of nice, healthy, not lots of sugar kind of sort of stuff. And then in the bottom section is where all the The proper good stuff is where we've got chocolate bars and Raffaellos and stuff. So I am human. So that is about it for in here. Okay, so congratulations if you made it to the end. I'm going to assume that the largest proportion of you haven't. But anyway, it was just a chance for me to share what goes on at TTL Towers. So you've seen the new rig. I'm actually quite chuffed with it. I know a lot of people are going to be asking why I didn't go with full water. I've explained now, it's just a timescale thing. Now I'm working on my 570. So I'm going to wait and I'm going to work on the case and get the case absolutely perfect. And then when it's time, I don't know whether it will be the next launch or the launch after, I will jump on right at the very beginning and I will see where we go with it. And then that will be the point where I'll choose the graphics cards and stuff. At the moment, this is absolutely perfect for months for what I need. One thing I didn't mention, which I will say now, is people will be asking single 1080, 4 screens. Does mean 2 display ports and then 2 HDMIs. It means using all the ports on the back of the card. It does mean that it does get quite warm, even just on the desktop. It does mean that, yes, it doesn't work with G-Sync. But the fact that it doesn't work with G-Sync, it doesn't particularly matter to me because this is kind of a workstation for me, not a main battle rig kind of gaming station. If you would like to see the racing rig, which is at home, so I can show you that as well. It's white and red as well. You know, there's a lot more that I could show you, but I think the video has been long enough. If you'd like to see the racing rig, then let me know. We can do that in another video and I can show you that there. I should really get the 3 rigs together because they are all white and red now. It wasn't something that I've done consciously. It's just the way it seems to have gone. It's definitely the theme at this present moment in time. But anyway, that is it. I has done my sharing with the group. My name is Tiny Tom Logan and I am a tech enthusiast. Group AA, get it? Yeah, anyway. So yes, my name is Tiny Tom Logan. I am a tech enthusiast. And this is where I spend 90% of my life. But for now at least, this is Tiny Tom Logan with another video thinking that he needs a better animated, what would you call it? Screensaver, that's the word I'm looking for. Needs a better animated screensaver. If you would like to make comments underneath, I'd love to hear, but also please come and take a chance to talk to us on the OC 3D forums because I'm going to start a thread there and I will put the link underneath. But for now at least, again, saying it for the 3rd time, it's Tiny Tom Logan with another video for you. Out.